It's time for the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner. Live from Lee's Photography in downtown Ottumwa. Here's your host, Jason Van Arkel.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the inaugural edition of the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner. We are on the air on 1240 AM, 102.7 FM KBIZ, and live on the video stream, as I remember to look into the camera. It's on AttumwaRadio.com. Tonight is where you'll find the link, and if you can't find it there, go to the Ottumwa Radio News Facebook page. A direct link is right there. I am Jason Van Arkel, and tonight on the initial edition of the show, I'll be joined, as you can see, by Ottumwa head football coach Brian Goodwin, as well as the team captains ahead of their game tomorrow night against Burlington. Later on, we'll also be joined by Cardinal head coach Landon Miller, his team off to a 1-0 start already. And then in our final segment, we'll be joined by Davis County head coach Kent Anderson. So a full show tonight for our initial Lee's Photography Coach's Corner. We want to start out by running down the list of games. Most of our teams getting their seasons underway tomorrow night. Teams in our area, a couple of them have already played games. Cardinal and Twin Cedars have. Everybody else starting tomorrow night. Ottumwa will be at Burlington tomorrow night. That'll be a 7 o'clock kick. You'll hear it right here on KBIZ, and you'll see the live video stream right here as well. Davis County is at home to open their season. They're hosting Keokuk. That game will be available live on the video stream at AttumwaRadioSports.com. The Van Buren Warriors play at Cardinal tomorrow night. That game will be on 92.7 KTWA. Pekin is hosting Sigourney Keota, or they were scheduled to host Sigourney Keota in the Backyard Brawl, but because of some storm damage to Tom Stone Field in Pekin, that game between Pekin and Sigourney Keota will actually be played at Schaefer Stadium here in Ottumwa tomorrow night. They're scheduled to kick off the varsity game at 7:30. You'll hear it on 101.5 KISS FM. And then the Centerville Big Reds are on the road to open the season. They're at Albia. That game will kick off at 7 o'clock. You'll hear it on 97.7 Tom FM. Other area games tomorrow night, Eddyville-Blakesburg Fremont will open the season at home against East Marshall. Fairfield is on the road to open the season. They play at Knoxville. Oskaloosa opens at home against Class 1A number 6 Pella Christian. And then Twin Cedars is at Moravia. It's the first game for Moravia. The second game for Twin Cedars in 8-man football. Twin Cedars is 0-1 after a season-opening loss last week. We mentioned Cardinal had played a game. They're 1-0. They beat Columbus 38-0. And again, later on in the show tonight, we'll sit down with their head coach, Landon Miller. But we're about ready to get things underway. We're going to take a quick 90-second timeout here. And when we return, we'll talk with head coach Brian Goodwin and the team captains for the Ottumwa Bulldogs. Stay tuned. It is the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner here on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
Are you looking for someone to capture the special moments in life, such as senior photos, weddings, family portraits, baby pictures, or even your furry friends? Look no further than Lee's Photography in Ottumwa to schedule your appointment. Brian, Connie, and the staff at Lee's Photography have the knowledge and experience to capture your special moments and make your vision come to life. Visit them on Facebook to see the range of their work. Lee's Photography on East 2nd Street, across from the Courier in Ottumwa, for all your all-around photography needs. Welcome back to the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
And welcome back. We are live from Lee's Photography in downtown Ottumwa, the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner, our inaugural show for the 2019 season. Jason Van Arkel with you. And I'm joined now, as you can see if you're watching the video, by Ottumwa High head football coach Brian Goodwin and two of the four team captains sitting here right now, linebackers Mitch Wood and Quentin Bishop. A little bit later on, we'll be joined by safety Andrew Cole and center Tanner Holman. So they're standing over there right now. They don't get out of this. They'll be on camera in a little bit. But we'll start with the linebacking core with Coach Goodvin. And, Coach, first question, your first year as head coach, you've been the defensive coordinator for several years before that. You've been in Ottumwa a long, long time. Other than the fact that you'll be on the sideline tomorrow night instead of up in the press box sitting two windows down from me, what's been the biggest adjustment you've had to make in being a head coach now instead of just a coordinator?
I think just the organization of the entire program. Like we missed a little bit of a team meal tonight to be on the radio show, and putting all that together so it's coordinated has been, probably the toughest change from just being a coordinator. Still a lot of work, with being a coordinator with football and all that, but then you have all the behind-the-scenes things that have to fall into place so these kids have a great experience going through the program.
Now, when you took over as head coach, you looked at the numbers you had on the roster, and you went out and you started talking to some kids in the school, trying to recruit them to get them come out and play football, and you were pretty successful. You brought out some kids that are good athletes, kids that maybe had played football before and fallen away from it, and some kids that are coming out to the team. How much of a difference has it made having those kids come out? How much of a difference has it made as you've gone through, especially gone through fall camp with them?
Well, I think it's a tremendous difference for us. We've had an opportunity. We initially started with the idea of platooning, having 22 starters and keep us fresher. And we had to getting those kids out that were good athletes that hadn't necessarily played football in the past has really led to us being real close to being able to do that. I think we're down to just one two-way starter now with Tanner going to start at center and on the defensive line. And we got to work his breaks in. But in the past, we've had to, do that with 4, 5, 6 different guys, throughout the course of a game. And it just wears on you as far as, their stamina and stuff like that towards the end of the game.
Obviously, you've got some kids that you're not planning to play two-way right now, but you could if you had to. And, football is a game where kids get hurt. So I know you've got some kids that if you need to, you're going to do that, but obviously you're hoping not to.
That's correct. I think, we've prepared them to play two positions, offensive position and a defensive position. And, Mitch is starting at linebacker. He's our backup fullback. So, ideally we can just stay with, one side of the football throughout the course of a game. But there'll be different situations where we will, get, other people into the game.
Now, one of the kids you brought back to football who didn't play last year is Trey Swartz, who you listed as a tight end. And, obviously he's a basketball star already for Ottumwa. And with his size and leaping ability alone, we saw in the scrimmage, he can be a matchup nightmare for opposing defenses. How do you maximize what he can do? How do you get the most out of him?
What, everybody sees how big and athletic that Trey is. And he's really worked well on catching his passes and things like that. We're going to use him in a variety of different places. But the thing that's really stood out for me is the way he gets off the football and gets into people. So he's going to be a real asset for us, in our running game and things like that as well. Just as valuable as he's going to be in our passing game.
And then on the other side of the ball, and I didn't write it down here, but I remembered it, you got Jesus Jaime out for football, and he's made his name in baseball, but a big kid, and I know you're putting him on the line. What does he bring to the table?
He's a real aggressive, strong kid. You see him walking down the hall, and you think, football player. And he's done a tremendous job for us in the baseball program, and just a hard-working, good kid. And it's the type of kid that you want in your football program. And he has really kind of, since he showed up on day one, he's really brought a lot of energy to that defensive line. It's given our, he plays on the scout team defensive line. He's out there all the time learning the game of football, and it's given Tanner fits at different times trying to block him, from the center position, and just made everybody along the front, that much better.
All right, and then at quarterback, Adam Denniston takes over. He had to wait his turn last year. Eli McDaniel played, had a pretty good year. Now Adam's going to get his turn at quarterback. What can we expect from him now that he's going to be under center? Or, more often the shotgun, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, he's really done a good job progressing throughout camp. We started off and throwing the ball, mechanics. He worked hard this summer. He went to a Jeff Trickey quarterback camp, kind of foreseeing that he was going to be the guy there behind Tanner, calling the signals and things like that. So he prepares well. He's constantly, asking questions, wanting to watch film. And I think he's going to be, more than capable of running our offense and getting the ball where it needs to be.
All right, now we've got two of the linebackers here, two captains for this week, Mitch Wood and Quentin Bishop. They're going to have to share the headset, so we'll start with Mitch because he's got the headset on. And you're the returning starter here, and they've moved Quentin and Zach Ross to that linebacking core. It made you guys obviously pretty athletic. Just how good can the three of you be as a unit this year?
Yeah, I mean, us three, we're all around 180, 200 pounds, which is a good size for linebackers. I think we're all pretty aggressive, fast, quick to the ball. I'm excited to see what we can do this year as a group.
You made a lot of plays last year just playing as a sophomore, playing linebacker, I think playing a little bit of safety too. And now you're one of the veterans on this team, one of the leaders on this team. Talk about how you've kind of taken to that role. And it may be a hard question to ask and hard to answer, but what do you do and what do you feel like you need to do with the younger guys on the team, try to lead them and get them where they need to be?
Just set the right example. So for the younger guys who are looking up to us three, make sure you're setting the right example and see if we can get this program off in the right direction.
Now, in front of you, you've got that defensive line. There's a lot of new faces there, and in football, the linebackers can make plays, but if you guys want to make plays at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, you need that D-line to absorb those blocks, keep you guys clean, let you get downfield and make plays. How is that defensive line coming along in front of you?
Yeah, I feel real comfortable with our D-line this year. We got a good, strong group of guys up there, so yeah, I'm definitely real comfortable with them. It's a great feeling to have those guys in front of you, so it also helps us out in the run game as well.
Yeah, and I talked to Coach Goodman about Jesus Jaime, but talk about some of the other guys on the line. I know Tanner's going to play both ways, but talk about some of those other guys and what you've seen out of them.
Gabe Jacobs, he's a new face on our D line. I think he'll be a good asset. Josh Gobin as well. Yeah, he's pretty tall, strong kid. He's also a new face, so I'm excited to see what those two can do, as well as Jesus and Tanner. So.
All right, I'm gonna turn the mic down here and have you hand that headset over to Q there, Quentin Bishop, and now that Q is locked into the world of radio and video, and you have moved around quite a bit in your football career. You were playing offensive line quite a bit and undersized as an offensive lineman, but you did a good job. But now you're moved to linebacker. It seems like this is a more natural fit. Do you feel like this is where you belong?
Yeah, it was a huge transition because I knew nothing about how to read an offense or anything of that sort. But it's really helped being a linebacker, not being a lineman, but a lineman, because now when blockers are coming for me, it's just easy to get into them, and that's helped a lot, being able to create separation.
Now, I imagine you're trying to maybe learn as much from Mitch as you can because he's been doing this. How has he helped you in your progression in becoming one of Atomo's starting linebackers?
He's done a lot of things to make sure we do the little things like read steps and communicating and those types of things.
And I asked this. I'm trying to remember which player I asked of this at the media day. I don't think it might have been Mitch, but I'm not sure. But you guys were getting closer to the scrimmage against Oskaloosa, and you were starting to look forward to being able to hit somebody else, not your own teammates. But that was just a scrimmage. Tomorrow night, you're going to Burlington, playing a Greyhounds team that you beat in a good game last year. How excited are you, and how excited is everybody to be able to put on that uniform and go out there and hit somebody in a different uniform, and this time it counts?
I think we're all really excited to get under the lights and just wreak havoc on everybody.
Well, hopefully we can wreak havoc. We've been to Burlington a few times in the past few years. We won there a few years ago, lost there I think the last time we went. Hopefully tomorrow night's trip we'll come home with another W in the pocket. We're on the Leafs Photography Coach's Corner, and we've got more coming up with Ottumwa High head coach Brian Goodvin, and we have to bring in the other two captains, Andrew Cole and Tanner Holman. So we will take a quick 90-second timeout, and we'll be back with more on the Leafs Photography Coach's Corner here on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
Are you looking for someone to capture the special moments in life, such as senior photos, weddings, family portraits, baby pictures, or even your furry friends? Look no further than Leafs Photography in Ottumwa to schedule your appointment. Brian, Connie, and the staff at Leafs Photography have the knowledge and experience to capture your special moments and make your vision come to life. Visit them on Facebook to see the range of their work. Leafs Photography on East 2nd Street, across from the Courier in Ottumwa, for all your all-around photography needs.
As a National Guard or Reserve member, you served your country. Now let VA serve you.
I wouldn't be here today as a successful woman without the help that I received.
Your VA honors your service by providing a wide range of veterans benefits. From home loans to job training, VA benefits can help with some of life's toughest challenges.
What's important about VA benefits is they don't just touch you as an individual. They can touch your parents, maybe your grandparents, your child.
Go to benefits.va.gov/guardreserve to learn more, including how to apply online using eBenefits.
I just finished a master's degree recently, and now I'm working on another degree as well. So the military made that all possible. My veterans benefits made that all possible.
No matter what the time is, apply for your benefits. You earn them. VA is ready to help you.
Achieve your next mission. Learn about and apply for your VA benefits today.
Welcome back to the Lease Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
We are back live in downtown Ottumwa at Lease Photography for the Lease Photography Coach's Corner. Jason Van Arkel here with the Ottumwa High head football coach Brian Goodman. And now the other two captains for this week have joined us, safety Andrew Cole and center and nose tackle, defensive tackle Tanner Holman, playing two ways. And we'll get to you guys in just a moment. Coach Goodman mentioned something there in the break that I think we should bring out and talk about a little bit. The four players we have on tonight are your captains for this week, but you're telling me you have a leadership council and you're going to be picking the captains every week from there. Tell me how that works.
Well, at the beginning of the summer, actually a little bit earlier than that, it was back in the spring, we got some guys together that have been, part of the football program in the past and have demonstrated some leadership abilities. And as opposed to just, identifying four guys as our team captains and having them, try to get the message out, we decided to have a leadership council. And I think there's 11 guys on the leadership council. We kind of put them through a little bit of a challenge as far as they had certain number of kids that were in the program, and they had to get them to workouts and things like that throughout the summer. And all 11 of them really kind of stepped up and did a great job getting those kids involved for the most part. And so we decided instead of, just choosing four of those guys for our team captains, we decided that from that leadership council every Monday, we have a leadership meeting and talk about a variety of different things. But one of the things that we'll do each week is have that leadership council elect the captains from that group. So it can change. It could be these four guys every week if they continue to be the ones that the rest of the group feels are the best leaders. But it will, it's possible that it could change from week to week.
And can you remember off the top of your head the other members of the council that aren't here tonight?
Yeah, I think I probably can. Adam Denniston is, he's on the council. Dominic Delahoy. Guys can help me out here. What's that? Brody Slack. Drake Handling is on it. Kai Glosser.
Gage.
Zach Ross. Andrew's brother Gage. And they've all done a tremendous job of taking charge of their group and making sure that we've had a real good summer. And the one thing that's really stood out for me in fall camp is our attendance. And we haven't had a significant player miss a practice, miss a workout for, months now. So they're working hard. And like I told them tonight, all of that pushing the sled and all of that's going to come, into play tomorrow night. That's what they've been doing it for. So I think we're ready to go that area.
All right. Well, we've got Andrew Cole here on the microphone right now, and as a safety on the defense, and I watched you play in the scrimmage a little bit. And you were all over the field making plays, and I was thinking, boy, I wish I was calling this game on the air because this is fun to call. So, but you're one of the guys back there who has experience. There's a lot of new faces there. What is the biggest key you think? The one thing that the defensive unit has to do well this season in order for you guys to have success?
We just gotta get around, get everyone with the ball, wrap up, and don't let go.
It's pretty simple. And we talked to Mitch and Quentin about the excitement to start the season. There's been a lot of excitement throughout fall camp under this new coaching staff with Coach Goodman taking over and the assistants. What is it about the coaching staff that has everybody so fired up and eager to get going?
It's just exciting to make some changes, changed around some of the plays. So just make everything a little bit different, hopefully make a winning season.
Well, we certainly hope for a winning season. I'm going to turn the microphone down again and have you hand the headset over there to Tanner. Tanner Holman, starting center, starting nose tackle as well. And We'll talk about the offensive line here first. The last few seasons, the line has been undersized, would be fair to say. Just on paper, this is the biggest group of linemen in the line that you guys have had in a while. And I know when I talked to you at Media Day, you were talking about wanting to hit people, get out there and be physical. You think the size of the guys on the line gives you guys a real chance to be a more physical line this season?
I don't really think so. I think it's about the fight you got into. It doesn't really matter how big you are, it's just how bad you want to get after a guy to move him. It's not really about size.
And I'm going to talk to Coach Goodwin about Burlington, but I know you remember from last year and kind of the same this year. They got a bunch of huge offensive linemen, so I imagine the phrase is appropriate given it's Bulldogs and Greyhounds, that it's not the size of the dog in the fight, size of the fight in the dog?
Mm-hmm, yeah, I believe so. A lot of that is taken into film. You got to watch your players that you're going to go against before the week and understand their weaknesses, and so take it into your game. Sometimes you don't have to be stronger than a guy. Sometimes you just have to be faster. So you just got to understand who you're going to go against before you go.
And finally, as you get ready for this game, you're going to have to play two ways some of the time. You'll get your rest, but you're scheduled to start both offense and defense. How are you going to manage that? How do you keep yourself as fresh as you can, even though you're just going to, as soon as the ball possession is changed, you're just going to turn around and line up and do something else?
Well, all of us have been preparing for that since the spring, just with our workouts and then going into the summer. And a lot of us haven't missed anything, and the coaches have done a really good job keeping us in shape. We condition every day, and my body feels good. It's the best I've ever felt in all my years playing high school football. And, yeah, I just feel like I'm prepared to do anything now.
All right, and we'll come back to Coach Goodwin here in our final few minutes with the Ottumwa football team, and we'll talk about getting ready for Burlington. They graduated that great running back they had. They're going to try to replace him, but they still have that massive offensive line. And is that the biggest challenge for the defense tomorrow, is finding a way to negate that size advantage they're going to have and being able to get off blocks?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that, along with they got a young kid, a sophomore kid at quarterback this year that I know just from looking at him a little bit, that he's done a lot of the same things Adam's done. He's gone to camps. He's really a student of the game, and he's worked hard to make himself a better quarterback. He played a couple snaps for him last year in our game when their starter got hurt, and this year he's going to be their starter. So I think they're going to obviously try to establish the run with that big offensive line. And then from there, I think they can definitely hurt us with their passing game. And so we've got to be, on our toes all the way around.
And then on the other side of the ball, I know you talked when you took over the job about, establishing Ottumwa's toughness, and you want to run the ball. Last year against Burlington, the offense put up 254 rushing yards, and that was one of the key factors in getting that win. Obviously, you'd like to establish the run like that early again tomorrow night. Yeah, I think you hear every football coach, that's what they want to do, establish the run. It's going to back people off, or it's going to bring them up, and we can throw it over the top of them. So we're going to be, fairly multiple. Probably won't be, 50-50 in that neighborhood, but we're talking probably 60-40 in our run pass setup. And, I think we'll be ready to go. Ottumwa High head coach Brian Goodwin, that's Andrew Cole, that's Tanner Holman. Earlier you saw Mitch Wood and Quentin Bishop. The Bulldogs taking on Burlington on the road tomorrow night, Bracewell Stadium, 7 o'clock kick. You'll hear it right here on 1240 AM, 102.7 FM KBIZ, and you'll see it on this video stream at AttumwaRadio.com and AttumwaRadioSports.com. We're going to take a timeout and transition to another school in Wapello County. We're going to talk Cardinal football after the break and talk with their head coach, Landon Miller. That's coming your way next on the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner here on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
Are you looking for someone to capture the special moments in life, such as senior photos, weddings, family portraits, baby pictures, or even your furry friends? Look no further than Lee's Photography in Ottumwa to schedule your appointment. Brian, Connie, and the staff at Lee's Photography have the knowledge and experience to capture your special moments and make your vision come to life. Visit them on Facebook to see the range of their work. Lee's Photography on East 2nd Street, across from the Courier in Ottumwa, for all your all-around photography needs. Welcome back to the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
And we continue on the Lee's Photography Coach's Corner, live from Lee's Photography in downtown Ottumwa. Jason Van Arkel with you, and we are now joined by Cardinal head coach Landon Miller, whose Comets team is off to a 1-0 start after a Week 0 win on the road at Columbus Community, 38-0. Coach, thanks for taking the time to come up here and join us. And I want to start with the fact that you ended up playing a Week 0 game. You lose the Grandview Christian game, I think it was, and you found out pretty early, I think you said February. So kind of take us through the process of from finding out that you've lost one of your opponents to being able to get a Week 0 game so your kids get to play 9.
Yeah, absolutely. About February, early March, the state sent out an email that said that Grandview Christian was not going to have a football program this year. And from there, what we did is I emailed about every AD and coach that I could find, just asking for them to help us out. You know, 2 years ago, we had Danville, wasn't able to field a team, and our kids only had 8 games. And the one thing I felt through that was our kids work extremely hard through the summer, and I just didn't think it was fair. So luckily, Columbus answered the call, and hats off to their administration at Columbus for playing 10 games this year to give us that game. So really, you know, just putting out feelers. A lot of schools were very adamant about helping us out, but in the end, Columbus is what we went with.
And obviously, I mean, this seems obvious to say, but in a sport like basketball or even baseball, you lose one game, maybe that's not that big a deal, but you only get 9 in football, and you take one of those away, it's a much larger fraction of the season. And like you said, the kids work so hard, it's not fair if they don't get to play a 9th game.
Yeah, we got through it 2 years ago, but it was a heartbreaker for our kids because, you know, that's what they love to do. You know, they love to go out and play. They work hard all week, and so it was a blessing that we got to get 9 in.
All right, and starting out early, having to get things going a week early didn't seem to be too much of a problem for your team. You go on the road, you win 38-0, and, you know, I'm sure it wasn't perfect in your eyes, certainly, but I'm guessing you're pretty pleased with the fact that your kids were ready to play.
Yeah, it was a great outcome. You know, you never know as a coach what you're going to get week 1 from year to year. You know, we have a ton of returning guys. We lost a couple key producers, but a lot of guys have been playing for me for 2 years since I got here. Some good additions in the freshman class last year that are sophomores now. They got a year under their belt, and the guys answered the call. You know, I told them this year was a prove-it year. You know, when I got here 2 years ago, there was a lot of things about the program that we needed to change. We've done that, you know, with all the help of the coaches and the administration at Cardinal. And so last year was kind of a turnkey where it's only happened, you know, 3 times in the last 15 years where we won 4 games or more. And then I told the kids, this year you got to prove it. And then the margin of victory of 38 is only the second largest in the last 15 years to 39 in 2012. So it just kind of is a nice roadmap to visually show our kids and our coaches and our fans, you know, where we're going and where we've come.
Talk about, you know, you had obviously needed a new quarterback this year. Trey Albert did so much for your team a year ago, but Maddox Jones got some varsity reps as a freshman, and then he had a really good opener last week. So how much did that experience he got last year kind of help him for this season?
A lot. He grew a ton over the offseason, but just being under the lights, you know, against a really good opponent, a playoff opponent is where we played him in last year as a freshman. That's not ideal, but it's paid dividends, you know, this year. He's got a live arm. He's a great kid, and he's grooming to be a leader, and there wasn't a better guy to learn from than Trey Albert. So I'm really proud of Maddox, and I'm really proud of our offensive line, who are senior laden, who was behind, you know, a guy like Trey, and then stepping in and just owning Maddox and taking him under his wing.
And that offensive line helped open holes for Gabe Reyes as well. He was your leading rusher a year ago, and he had 91 yards last week. How much better can he be now in his senior season?
A lot better. He was, and he'd say this if he was here, is he wasn't ready the start of last season. And this year he has dedicated himself to be the best football player and the best man and the best leader that he can. And I'm really proud of him. He's done a great job. He loves his offensive line. The offensive line love him. They're all in the same grade for the most part. And he's gonna have better games. He had a good game against Columbus, but he's ready to go.
All right, your next 3 games are against teams that you beat last season, and obviously there are some expectations that come with that from the fans and everything else. Yep. But I would imagine as a coach, one thing you might be stressing to your team that the only thing that matters now is how you're preparing this week, not what happened a year ago.
Yeah, we talk about a lot in our program, Win the Moment. We talk about that every moment is an opportunity to win or lose, no matter if you're on the field, in the classroom, or in life. And so we look at the season that way too, is every week is just a moment in time. What happened last week was great, and we want to remember it. We want to get better from it. What happens in the future, we need to keep an eye on it. But at the same time, what's going on now is what we focus on. So we talk about going 1-0 every single week. We have a good Van Buren team coming in. They got a new coach. I think they'll be revitalized. And then, Wayne and North Mahaska. North Mahaska's got 42 guys out for football this year, which is almost, double what they had. And so they're coming, and our guys got to understand, and they do, that this week is basically a rivalry game. We're pretty close. This will be the rubber match since I've been here, and the kids know that, and they're fired up.
Let's talk a little bit more about Van Buren. And you mentioned they have a new coach this year, and it's the second year in a row they have a new head coach.
Yep.
You shut them out last year. The game maybe was probably closer than the score indicated, had a couple of defensive touchdowns in there. Now, most people, I think, would assume that you've played a game, they haven't, you have the advantage. But as we said, a new coach, and you haven't seen any film, any tape of them. So how hard is that for you and your staff to prepare for? Because you don't really have a lot to go on.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's difficult when you don't know what they're going to do when everything's new. And, so this week has been a hodgepodge of preparing for a lot of different things. I think our kids are going to respond really well, but at the same time, it's a lot easier when you have a decent idea what's going to happen. You can get your kids ready. But again, the way that we practice this week, I feel like their kids are going to respond to anything they get thrown at.
And on your side, having played once already, one of the common things you hear from, I've heard from football coaches constantly, is that the most improvement you see in a team is from week 1 to week 2. And I'm assuming that you're hoping and expecting you'll see that from your team tomorrow night.
Yeah, last year was a big point to that fact. When Van Buren, we didn't play great last year offensively. Our defense kind of helped us out. In the Wayne game last year, we made a ton of improvement in that week, and we're proud of that, and we think we can do that as a coaching staff again. It's going to come down to, on offense, can we execute up front, and with a sophomore quarterback, we knew that he was going to take some lumps just being young and not having a ton of starts. He's got one under his belt. How can he progress?
Now, this is a longer-term question, and I almost hesitate to ask it because, I've never met a coach who wanted to think about anything but the next game.
Yeah.
But you've got 3 more games against teams that you beat. Then you go into district play, and last year, and I hate to bring it up, but you went 4-0 non-district, lost all 5 district games. So as you're thinking week to week, how important is it that your team also continue to grow so that when you hit that district schedule this time around, you're more prepared than you were a year ago?
Yeah, that's a big question, and we talk about it openly with our players because, like I said, our philosophy is remember the past, live in the now, but look to the future. And so we want to look ahead and say, hey, we got to be better than we are today, tomorrow. And so because we know what we got coming in on district, and our district teams, is what we're trying to become. They're very consistent up and down. They're programs that have won, and they win consistently. And we want to be that at Cardinal, and we're trying to grow that way. So this year we got to go prove that we can be one of those teams. We were a little injured last year. Once you get into district play, we're hoping that our experience and depth this year is better, and I know it is. So I'm just hoping we can go out and be competitive.
And then last question, I know that the early success last season kind of really got people fired up again about Cardinal football, about Common football. You're 1-0, and you've got your home opener tomorrow night. So I know you're hoping to see a big crowd at the stadium and cheering your kids on.
Yeah, I think, the trick at Cardinal is it's very rural, so there's not a ton of neighborhoods and businesses around it. But with that being the fact, I'm always amazed at how many people come out and surround the stadium at Cardinal. I'm really proud of our fans. We do a Comet tunnel that our fans make before the game, and it's incredible the support that they give our kids. And so I'm expecting a huge crowd tomorrow night's alumni football night. So any former coach and player, we want to recognize them for the foundation that they've built for what we're trying to do here. And so I'm really excited for tomorrow. I think the kids are really excited, and it's going to be a good night for us.
Cardinal head coach Landon Miller, his team 1-0, and they are taking on Van Buren tomorrow night, 7 o'clock kick at Cardinal. And we will have the game on our sister station, 92.7 KTWA. Coach Billy, thank you so much for the time. I'm sure we'll want to have you on again. Hopefully you guys have continued success, not just in the non-district, but certainly we want to see you guys take that next step and find success in district play as well.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. This is a great format. It's something that this area, I think, is really going to love. And Lee's photography has been so great to us. And and appreciate all they've done for this too. So thank you.
All right, coming up next in a few minutes, we're scheduled at about 6:45 to sit down with Davis County head coach Kent Anderson. So we'll take a quick break right now, come back and have more of the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
Are you looking for someone to capture the special moments in life, such as senior photos, weddings, family portraits, baby pictures, or even your furry friends? Look no further than Lee's Photography in Ottumwa to schedule your appointment. Brian, Connie, and the staff at Lee's Photography have the knowledge and experience to capture your special moments and make your vision come to life. Visit them on Facebook to see the range of their work. Lee's Photography on East 2nd Street, across from the Courier in Ottumwa, for all your all-around photography needs.
As a National Guard or Reserve member, you served your country. Now let VA serve you.
I wouldn't be here today as a successful woman without the help that I received.
Your VA honors your service by providing a wide range of veterans benefits. From home loans to job training, VA benefits can help with some of life's toughest challenges.
What's important about VA benefits is they don't just touch you as an individual. They can touch your parents, maybe your grandparents, your child.
Go to benefits.va.gov/Guard Reserve to learn more, including how to apply online using e-benefits.
I just finished a master's degree recently, and now I'm working on another degree as well. So the military made that all possible. My veterans benefits made that all possible.
No matter what the time is, apply for your benefits. You earn them. VA is ready to help you.
Achieve your next mission. Learn about and apply for your VA benefits today.
Welcome back to the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
And we continue with the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner here on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network. Jason Van Arkel with you. Scheduled to be joined by Davis County head football coach Kent Anderson in just a few minutes. We're going to once again run down the full schedule of football games for our area schools tomorrow night. Ottumwa High opens the season on the road at Burlington. It'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff. You'll hear it right here on the radio on 1240 AM, 102.7 FM KBIZ, and it'll be right here on this stream as well. Tonight, we're picking up the stream on AttumwaRadio.com. It'll be there tomorrow night, and it hopefully will be on AttumwaRadioSports.com as well tomorrow night. And by the way, that website is where you can find the schedules for all the teams that we carry: Ottumwa, Davis County, Van Buren, Pekin, and Centerville. Football schedules will be there. And then after the games, that's where we will have the archived recordings, whether it's the on-air recordings of the radio broadcasts or the live video streams that we have for Ottumwa and Davis County. All of that will be archived and available on demand at AttumwaRadioSports.com. This show will also be available on demand and all of the subsequent shows throughout the 2019 fall season. So Ottumwa at Burlington tomorrow night. Davis County is at home. They're taking on Keokuk, a 7 o'clock kickoff in Bloomfield, and that'll be on AttumwaRadioSports.com. And speaking of Davis County, I do now see the Mustangs head coach Kent Anderson coming in. So, Kent, we're going to walk you right in here on the live video, and we'll get you a bottle of water here.
I was not late. I was here.
You're on time. You're on time. I didn't. I finished up with Coach Miller. Yeah, go ahead and put that one on. I finished up with Coach Miller a couple minutes early, and we were running down the football schedule. We just got into Davis County hosting Keokuk, so
yes, sir.
You walked in at just the right time. So welcome to the show, and let's start out with this. Last year, a step forward for the program. In your first year, you won 3 games, 3 other close losses, 8 points or less, and the team had only won 3 games total the previous 2 seasons. My question is, how do you carry that momentum forward? I know you lost a lot of seniors with the kids coming back. How do you carry that through the offseason, the weight program and keeping them working out and then getting them into camp in the fall? And just talk about that process of how you keep this momentum going for this program.
It's a process. You said exactly right. So what's important to us right now is just getting our numbers up and getting the enthusiasm in the program and getting the participation in the program. At some point, and that might be week 1, it might be week 1 in 2 years, it might be tomorrow. At some point, we're going to be that program that we want to be, that program that's talking about going to the playoffs, and everybody has that dream, and we certainly do too, and we're never counting each other out. But right now we're in a building phase. Losing, having only 33 kids on the roster last year, losing 18 seniors doesn't give you a lot to build with. However, we're in the 50s in our numbers. That speaks well for the commitment that we've had in the off season. There's a lot of inexperience in those 50 numbers. A lot of freshmen. We'll have a JV team this year, which we didn't have last year. So to me, that's growth. It's not always about growth on the scoreboard. That's growth in the program. And if we can carry forward from there, that's the place to begin. So the foundation is just going to be in participation, numbers, and enthusiasm.
We'll talk a little bit more about the fact that you do have a JV team now, which you didn't have before. Obviously, that's not immediate help at the varsity level, but it's also obvious that you've got kids that are going to be getting not just practice reps, but game reps that they might not otherwise get. And so I would imagine that could pay huge dividends a year or two down the road.
Yes, sir. It can. And so we're doing some things really different. So our freshmen practice with the varsity, our 7th and 8th graders practice with the varsity. So if you will, we'll have the philosophy of it is being that if I have a 7th grader out there taking exchanges with the running backs and carrying out his fake and stepping through and doing the right things, and he sees what right is. He sees our senior quarterback or our varsity quarterback do it, and he can emulate that. By the time that 7th grader actually has his first high school rep, he'll be 3 years in the program. That's equivalent to someone else coming in as a freshman and having his 3-year rep being his junior year. Our kids in this way will get it their freshman year. So that's growth and that's building. So that's one of the ways we're trying to do it. We're not just starting with the 50 we have now. There's another 50 in the 7th and 8th grade that are working at. And by the way, we have a 5th and 6th grade team that are doing the exact same things. They're not practicing with the varsity, but they're doing the exact same terminology, play system, and the way we practice.
And you mentioned getting people out for football, getting them excited about football. I would think if I was a 7th or 8th grader playing football and I get to go practice with the varsity team and there's the varsity coaching staff and everything, that'd be pretty exciting. You're not just working out. Not that football. I love football, so it's
Sure.
easy for me to say it's exciting. But it's got to be an even bigger thrill for these kids to say, "Hey, I'm working out with the guys that are playing under the lights on Friday night."
Yeah, that's big. That's part of it. And they, like I said, the enthusiasm, they get to see that, they get to be around it. And as we always say, we'll stop and say, this is what it's supposed to look like right here. Watch them. Watch our varsity. And usually they'll do it right. And the nice thing about that is what we're finding is the varsity players are almost, I wouldn't say forced, but they're pushed into a leadership role. They have to set good example. Otherwise, sometimes they're not as conscientious the way they act and what they do. And we talk a lot about that, doing what's right and doing things right and hustling through. And we say through, not to, run through the line, not to the line. And our 7th graders, our 5th and 6th graders get to see what that looks like. So the example is good. You just have to keep it in perspective. And, last night, for example, we were running through some plays, and I was starting to get a little frustrated with the freshmen. I said, wait a minute. Stop now. Hold on, Coach. I had to remind myself, they're just doing this the first time, and in 3 years, they're going to be pretty good at it. And the 7th and 8th graders the same way. So it's all about, having a long-term vision and having perspective and aligning those kids in the opportunity to be successful and do things right.
And obviously, that's what this program needed, and certainly that's the right direction to be going, even if sometimes you have to take your lumps. You will have a young varsity team this year.
Yes.
I know you're going to miss Draven DeCry. That's the first name you bring up. And we talked about it last year. It was so good for him to be healthy and have the kind of year that he knew he could have. But now you have to replace him. And I know you've got a couple options maybe to play quarterback. So kind of talk about who is going to step up under center and have an opportunity to prove themselves tomorrow night in the opener.
We're lucky. We're very fortunate that we have 2 that can step up and do it. I've talked to him a lot about that, and we always have to take the approach is we have to do what's right for the team. We have to do what's best for the team. One of our best quarterbacks is a senior, Caden Hill. He's also by far our best defensive player. He's our leader. He's kind of the heart and soul of the team. He also kicks off, kicks extra points, long snaps. Sometimes a little tricky. He's going to long snap to himself, but there are certain situations that we'll have.
If he does that, we have the games on the video stream. So if he does that, I'm going to capture that video and put it up for everybody to see. Okay. That would be amazing.
But he does all that, and it's very stressful to have him go out and also play quarterback. So we also have a sophomore, Carson Mader, who will start at quarterback for a lot of those reasons. They're very close in what they do. It allows Caden to be the defender, and Caden will play. I'm quite confident Caden will play small college football somewhere, or college football somewhere as a linebacker, and he brings that to the defense. And I didn't want to put that to the team. I have to put the right pieces of the puzzle out there. Carson will start, but I have every confidence in Caden to be able to come in. So there will be a little different than we were last year with Draven. Draven was a very mobile quarterback and needed some work on his throwing. And he's getting that at William Penn. He's playing quarterback there, and he's redshirting this year. But we'll have some options, and I'm very optimistic in both. One will have an experienced leader, and the other one will have a very good young talent.
And obviously, as you said, 18 seniors gone from last year, so you've got new faces all over the lineup. Offensively, talk about some of the players that, whether it's Caden or Carson under center, who he's going to be targeting, getting the ball to, handing the ball to. Who are some of the guys you're looking to step up at the skill positions on offense?
Sure. Well, Carson Mater's a sophomore, so we'll have a lot of sophomores that he'll be getting the ball to. He came from a junior high team that was undefeated, and he was getting the ball to who played for us last year as a freshman, Caden Glosser. He wears jersey number 3, plays a slot. He was scoring touchdowns as a freshman, and he's very quick. He's very fast. He's been in the weight room. He's put on about 15, 20 pounds, and just as Carson has, went from 160 to 180. You can dunk a basketball, which you couldn't do last year, and dunk it and throw it down. Our strength program is great. Gavin McCall, who will wear jersey number 4, is a running back who's very strong. He's also a sophomore. Another sophomore receiver, Dalton Reeves, who's a 6'3" sophomore. He plays 4 sports, all of them at the varsity level as a freshman. He's a receiver. Clay Collier, who's another receiver, just came out this year, and immediately he's a very good baseball player, and immediately he was one of our better receivers. So, and Clay's a junior. So there's some possibilities right there, and they're youth. They're young players, and they're going to get better and better and better. And we talked to them about what we have to do this year is increase our maturity as it goes. But those are some players that he can get the ball to. There's many others. Brett Dockstader, Clayton Smith are 2 running backs. We have some options.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, it's kind of the same question. Who's going to step up? And I know some of those kids are probably going to have to play two-way, but who are you looking for defensively to not just make plays, but provide some leadership and some guidance for that defense?
I think a lot of them are going to have to play both ways. So we'll be very fast on defense. We have a young man that came out for his first year, Carson Zittler. He's a basketball player, a track guy. He's very fast. He can line up at corner and probably pretty much stay with anybody. The guys I mentioned before, Caden Glosser, Dalton Reeves, Gavin McCall, they're going to ask to step up and play both ways. Spencer Bowes is a young sophomore. He's a 300-pound lineman as a sophomore, and he's a man-child right now, and he got in the weight room, and he's getting there, and he will be special when he dials in, and he just got to continue to dial in. It's hard to dial in 15 and 16-year-old kids sometimes, but he's got a lot of ability, and I'm looking for when that hits with him because he's got a lot of ability. So there are some good young players there. They're going to maybe take some lumps. We'll know. Maybe they'll give a few lumps too.
I asked this question when Coach Miller here from Cardinal was here because his team's already played a game and he's looking forward to that bump you get from week 1 to week 2. And I know certainly after this week, your kids will probably learn a lot and maybe make that same jump going from week 1 to week 2. But maybe the question for your team with all the youth you're putting out there and the guys getting their first taste of varsity action tomorrow night, how much better do you think they can be looking ahead when we get to week 7, week 8, week 9 than they will be in week 1? Because it seems like you've got a lot of athletes. They just have a lot of learning and growing to do.
Yeah, that is correct. Can we withstand the physicality of it as sophomores? The good news is all those kids I mentioned played as freshmen. So they've been out there at the varsity level before. They didn't have quite a heavy role that they have right now. So the maturing process will be very important. And can they withstand the physicality? And can they play both ways at times for 8-9 weeks in a row? That's the key. And stay healthy, of course, like every coach says. And we're all say the same things at the beginning of the year. We want to be healthy, and we're all optimistic. Well, that all changes a few weeks in the year sometimes. So, but those are the things we're going to have to withstand: just the physicality of it, and just maturing.
All right, let's take a look at Keokuk, who you're playing tomorrow night. Last year, on the field, it was fairly competitive, I think 21-7, but then you end up with a win because they had to forfeit to use an ineligible player. Talk about, now you get them at home this year, and just kind of break down real briefly what the challenge is facing them on both sides of the ball, because they're a bigger school, and they're going to bring some athletes, certainly.
They certainly will, and they started to get themselves together at the end of the year. They were playing some bigger schools, and doing a fine job and holding in there, and they are a bigger school. They do have a new coach, so we're kind of dealing again with we don't really know what they're going to do. We saw a scrimmage of them against Central Lee. They saw one of us against Sigourney. Nobody shows their cards in a scrimmage. So, but they're going to have some speed. They'll have some size. They'll have numbers advantage, and we got to deal with that. And we kind of know that. We have to embrace that. That's who we are. We have to be You know, even though we take out our freshmen, we're still 30-some players.
Mhm.
You know, last year we were 30-some players, including freshmen. This year we were 50. So we're still kind of the dirty 30, and we're still going to have to play old school football, go both ways. I told them they'll get old-time hockey haircuts and shave their heads and you show that tough look. That's the persona we're going to have to take.
And I think from one cycle into another, I appreciate the Dirty 30 reference, certainly. So, all right, last question. You start out at home this year. Hopefully you get a big crowd out to see them, to see the kids play. What would be your message to the fans who are going to come out and watch this kind of a new-look team play for the first time?
Patience, and see the big picture. See that the numbers are there. See that, you know, in the summertime at 6:30 in the morning, you have 70 to 80 kids coming in. That's boys and girls, and committing themselves to the weight room. A lot of these are football players and volleyball players and cross-country runners. They see the big picture. There's some good things happening. We still have 50 kids coming in before school and lifting weights. That's a lot. And we're having a culture shift in terms of making a commitment and allowing these kids to come in and develop a craft that they want to excel. I would say patience, see the big picture, and also enjoy it. I think at the home games we're going to see a little more pageantry. A lot of pennants and flags and some tents around that you can rent tents and get catering on the field, things like that. So just kind of make it an experience, and we want to make sure that kids participate. We want to have a good experience in the field with some ambiance, with some pageantry, and start building a program that way. Because if I'm a young person, if I'm a young boy, young girl that wants to participate in things, I want to see a venue that I want to be a part of. And if we can show that and show camaraderie and those things, that's how we can get ahead in the game a little bit.
Davis County head coach Kent Anderson. His team takes on Keokuk tomorrow night at 7. We'll have it live on the video stream at AtumwaRadioSports.com. Kent, thanks so much for the time.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk to you as the season goes along. We're going to take a quick break and wrap it up on the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
Are you looking for someone to capture the special moments in life, such as senior photos, weddings, family portraits, baby pictures, or even your furry friends? Look no further than Lee's Photography in Ottumwa to schedule your appointment. Brian, Connie, and the staff at Lee's Photography have the knowledge and experience to capture your special moments and make your vision come to life. Visit them on Facebook to see the range of their work. Lee's Photography on East 2nd Street, across from the Courier in Ottumwa, for all your all-around photography needs. Welcome back to the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network. Welcome back to the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.
And we are just about out of time on the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner. Jason Van Arkel, thanking you so much for tuning in, whether you tuned in on the air on KBIZ or live on the video stream at AtumwaRadio.com. This show will be archived on the website. You'll be able to go back and watch it, and we'll be here next Thursday night at 6 o'clock for Week 2 of the Lee's Photography Coaches Corner. Thanks for watching and listening on the Ottumwa Radio Sports Network.